Hello friends, today I am going to tell you a great story, The Umbrella Exchange. Rain poured heavily over the bustling city, turning the streets into rivers of shimmering reflections. Aya, a 16-year-old girl, rushed out of the bookstore, hugging her school bag tightly to shield it from the downpour. Her umbrella had broken earlier, and she had no choice but to sprint through the rain. Just as she stepped onto the sidewalk, a voice called out, "Take this." Aya turned to see a tall man in a dark coat, holding out a black umbrella. His face was partially hidden by the shadow of his hood. She hesitated. "I can't just take your umbrella." He smiled faintly. "Consider it borrowed. Just return it here when you're done." Before she could argue, the man turned and disappeared into the rain. Aya sighed, opening the umbrella. As she tilted it over her head, something fluttered down, a small, folded letter tucked inside the fabric. Curious, she picked it up and read the faded ink. "To the one who finds this. I have done something I deeply regret. I wish I could take it back, but I can't. If only I had spoken sooner, maybe things would have been different. If you ever get the chance, don't hesitate to say what's in your heart. Some words can heal before it's too late." The letter wasn't signed. Aya frowned, an uneasy feeling creeping into her chest. That night, as the rain continued to fall against her window, Aya couldn't stop thinking about the letter. Who wrote it? And what did they regret? She examined the umbrella carefully. It was plain, except for a small engraving on the handle, KS. Could it be the initials of the writer? Determined to find out more, she returned to the same bookstore the next day, hoping to spot the man. But he wasn't there. She even asked the cashier if they had seen anyone matching his description. No one had. Aya decided to check online for missing person reports or unsolved mysteries. Maybe a KS had left behind a story. That's when she found it. A 5-year-old news article. A tragic accident in Shibuya, local student Kenta Saito passed away after being struck by a car during heavy rainfall. Witnesses reported that he had been waiting for someone near the bookstore before the accident occurred. Aya's breath caught in her throat. KS. Kenta Saito. Aya's fingers trembled as she scrolled further. She clicked on an old photo attached to the article. It was a young man, maybe 18, smiling beside a girl whose face was blurred. Aya stared at the picture, a strange familiarity creeping over her. Had she seen this boy before? Her heart pounded as she searched for more details. Another comment on the article caught her eye. "If only I had told him how I felt. Maybe he wouldn't have been standing there alone in the rain." The comment was anonymous, but something about it struck Aya deeply. She read the letter again. "If you ever get the chance, don't hesitate to say what's in your heart." Could this letter have been written by the girl in the photo? Was this an unspoken confession of love? Aya suddenly felt a responsibility she didn't understand. This wasn't just a lost umbrella, it was a message meant to reach someone. Aya spent days searching. She asked around town, hoping someone knew Kenta or the girl in the picture. Most people had moved on, but finally, a bookstore employee recognized the story. Kenta used to come here all the time. He was always waiting for a girl after school, but I never saw her arrive. Some people say she never showed up that night." Aya's chest tightened. Had the girl avoided meeting him? Had she ever known how much he waited for her? Then, a breakthrough. A librarian at the local school remembered a girl who had been close to Kenta, Sakura Ishikawa. Aya found her name in an alumni list and tracked her down on social media. The moment she saw Sakura's profile picture, she knew. It was the same blurred girl from the old article. Aya messaged Sakura, but there was no response. Determined, she found an address and decided to visit. Sakura answered the door, now in her early 20s. Her tired eyes widened at the sight of the black umbrella in Aya's hands. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. Aya took a deep breath. "A man gave it to me, near the bookstore. There was a letter inside." She handed it over. Sakura's hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. Tears welled up in her eyes as she read the words. This was mine, she said softly. I wrote this 5 years ago. But I never sent it. Aya's mind raced. Then, the man who gave me the umbrella. Sakura shook her head. That's impossible. Kenta died in the rain, before I could tell him how I felt. A heavy silence fell between them. The umbrella, the letter, the stranger, was it all a coincidence? Or was Kenta still trying to reach her, even from beyond? Sakura wiped her tears and smiled sadly. I was afraid. I thought I had time to tell him, but I was too late. Aya nodded, feeling the weight of her words. Maybe this was his way of making sure you got to say it, finally. Sakura clutched the letter to her chest. Thank you, she whispered. For bringing this to me. That day, Aya returned the umbrella, placing it back at the bookstore. It felt lighter now, as if the weight of regret had been lifted. As she walked away, she couldn't help but wonder, had Kenta really been there that night? Or had something greater guided her to complete his story? She would never know for sure. But one thing was certain, small acts of kindness, even as simple as lending an umbrella, could change someone's life. And maybe, just maybe, they could heal a broken heart. So friends, moral of the story is that small acts of kindness can mend broken hearts, and unspoken words should never be left unsaid. Thanks for watching. If you like the story, please like, share and subscribe to my channel.